Bichara Supply Chain, highlighting and showcasing solutions for the most complex challenges facing the industry in 21st century by our team of subject matter experts and mentors. Broadcasting every week, all year round, we will present the most up-to-date series of podcasts and webinars.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bichara Supply Chain. This is Nur Hadi, your host, and with me now, Jill Robbins. Jill is an expert and leader in procurement, supply chain, and entrepreneurship. She is a president at the Business Fairs and also senior advisor of procurement at MedBooks Incorporation, and spent for many years in a leadership role at the multinational corporation. All right, so thanks for joining us and welcome to Bichara Supply Chain, Jill.
Thank you for having me, Nur Hadi.
Okay, so today's topic is a powerful negotiation with a powerful supplier and customer. So we will learn how to negotiate with the difficult and powerful suppliers and customer, and also how supplier negotiation on the buy side can also be powerful to the sell side of the business. Wow, interesting. Okay, but before we go to our main discussion, can you tell me a bit about yourself, Jill?
Thanks for the question, Nur Hadi. I have been in the procurement supply chain space for over 20 years in a variety of individual contributor roles as well as global leadership roles, having responsibility for every indirect category during that time, as well as spending time in purchase to pay, so really understanding that full source to pay process and the importance of data and technology in automating processes, as well as building a global indirect team from the ground up most recently. My husband and I are also entrepreneurs with successful businesses that we have started and subsequently sold. So I really can see things from both the employee side as well as the owner side. And I'm able to connect the dots that many people are not able to connect. And I think procurement has a unique seat in connecting the dots across enterprises as they see how suppliers are used and how business processes are run.
Okay, so let's talk about the negotiation. So what are the first things to do in order to have a good and qualified negotiation with the suppliers and also with the customer?
Yeah, so when you're negotiating with any supplier, so as a supply chain and procurement professional, do your homework. So research the category, the commodity that you are buying, and then who the competition is in that space, in the marketplace, is really critical because that information will provide power as you are negotiating with that supplier. Ask them questions and also ensure that you have your requirements clearly documented and the right KPIs in place so that that negotiation runs smoothly, whether it's on the terms and conditions, the performance of the supplier, or the pricing.
There will be a certain situation, Jill, where companies have a weak position with suppliers. So what are the tips, what are the tricks can you advise to the procurement leaders, to the procurement folks in order to win the negotiations?
Yeah, so if you have a suboptimal position with a supplier, whether it's based on past performance or just buying power with that supplier, develop a relationship, really understand their business, and there could be an opportunity to partner and be a beta partner when they're developing something new. You could test that, you could give them feedback. So there are other ways that you can create some leverage and value with that supplier. And like I said, doing your research is critical. So you may not get what you want on price or on terms and conditions, but try to make it up somewhere else that has value in that negotiation.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And what are the other options to improve value for the outcome of negotiations?
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't want to show that, you don't have the upper hand or any leverage in the negotiation. I think just, again, listening, asking the right questions, and also understand how you might be able to provide value to that supplier. So let's say the first negotiation doesn't go as planned, or you don't get as much as you feel like you had to. That relationship is an ongoing negotiation. So, continuing to measure the health of the relationship, the performance of that supplier that you could later use as leverage in subsequent negotiations.
So you have mentioned that you have been working in the procurement for many years, right? Approximately about 20 years. Can you tell me one or two examples in the past when you have in difficult situation when dealing with the supplier?
Yeah, so an example of negotiating with a difficult supplier, I think strategic consulting firms are very difficult to negotiate with. Oftentimes they have relationships at very senior levels within the organization, and the leverage is gone because they already know that they've potentially been selected. The scope and requirement is typically not clear. When it comes from executives, procurement has to push the business to appropriately define the performance and, what the deliverables may be from an engagement. So my most difficult negotiations have been under a very tight timeline and with those strategic consulting firms when the leverage has been given away.
Fantastic. All right, Jill. So before I close today talk, do you have any key takeaways that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I think that, the key takeaways, be patient in a negotiation. Always do your homework on that supplier and or that customer so that you understand what's going on in their business. And that can be leverage during that negotiation. Understand their performance in the marketplace. So there are different consortiums where you can share supplier performance, understand how a similar engagement went with another business that you can learn from. And then also understand the competition within that supply base. That can also be leverage for you. If there is another qualified supplier, you can always bid against one another. You can obtain different creative proposals and also push your suppliers to be innovative and creative because that can add value far beyond price. When quality is delivered, processes are automated, the business is able to achieve productivity that they did not think possible. Oftentimes suppliers know their customers better than the customers know themselves. So many businesses operate in silos and suppliers see things that you may not see. So have that open dialogue with your suppliers. And, as you're selling to a potential customer, my advice is, again, do your homework on that customer, know what's going on within their business. Listen, if it's a publicly traded company, listen to their earnings calls. Ask questions because as you are silent, you will continue to learn more. And then know your value proposition as you're selling to these customers, because how that connects to their business and can solve business problems is really, really key. And, as I have launched into the advisory world, consulting world with Business Fierce, As I ask questions, so I do a survey before I start any engagement to really understand how they're selling, how they are telling their story, look at their materials, have a conversation. It's eye-opening how they're selling the same way regardless of the customer. Tweaking the messaging so that you can really speak to your customer is really critical. And asking them the questions, because people usually are looking for help to solve internal problems that have been around for years and years that they have not been able to solve. So it's really key to listen.
At Bichara Supply Chain, we are committed to driving global perspective to embrace technological adaptation in improving process efficiencies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Bichara Supply Chain. And stay tuned for the latest updates. To learn more, visit our website www.bicharasupplychain.com. Thank you for listening to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.